Living your truth. What does that mean to you? In fact, it's probably one of the most important things in our journey as human beings, as sexual beings, as living organisms out in this world. And yet, it's such a difficult thing for us to do. In fact, I'll just tell you, it's a difficult thing for me to do. You know, I was out here in nature. I love to be out in nature. It's one of the things that I do to just, man, it just makes me a more sane person. And plus, my dogs get to run around or sit back and watch me record videos. And I was thinking about all this stuff in my head, and I got into my meditation, and my brain started exploding, and it started going into all this expression, all this judgment, all this blame, all this anger, and all these different things that sift through, the thoughts of my psyche. And finally, when my mind calms down, they start sticking their heads up. And see, it's interesting, when I am angry, when I'm full of blame and these things happen, when I'm full of judgment, when I'm full of fear, the reality of it is that it's just an inability to express myself. It's an inability to be me. And see, if there's one thing that we were born to be, and this is, one of the philosophies that I live by, that's such an important thing of my life, is that we were not born to be judgmental. In fact, judgment and blame is not something that we see in the nature of humans. When our populations are lower and we have less stimuli and our resources are fulfilled, we don't do that. We don't need to do that. And when we have too much coming at us, like we're in debt, we don't have a woman around us, we feel out of place in society, we feel wronged by society, something about us is making us ununified and different, because that unity, that connection, that empathy, that sharing that we have is so vital to our mental health. What happens? We move into this sifting fear of judgment, of blame, of, anger, confusion, frustration, not knowing who you are. And yet, when it all comes down to it, it really comes down to being able to speak your truth and live who you are. Live as that human being, as difficult as it might be, as hard and as fearful as it might be, as clouded around all the different definitions that I've made for myself or you've made for yourself. And when it comes down to it, no matter what I believe in, let's say if I believe in the truth, let's say if I believe in love, let's say if I believe in nihilism, let's say if I dedicated my life to fear, that philosophy, that idea, that safety net around me is great. It allows me to expand my thought, yet it does absolutely nothing for me if I do not allow myself to be the real me and express within it. One thing that I was really thinking about today is, I have my family, I have my life, I have these great things around me, I have the core group of guys that I work with at TSL and all of our different forums, and how is it that I can express me with all the things around me? How can I honestly be myself? Not an act, not say, hey Jim, I really appreciate you, just because I'm supposed to do it. But how can I share what I really feel with the people in front of me? How can I show my fear? How can I show my love? How can I show all those things that need to be expressed within me, so I don't rely on blame and judgment and categorization and this reactive anger that we've now called life, just because I want to get back to being a human being? How can I do that today? How can you do that today? And how can we all get back into that and stop putting, these boxes and titles around ourselves before we actually share a moment and a connection with a human being? In any case, if this is something that you like, or a discussion that you'd like to continue with, come over to The Sexual Life. That's the website and the group that I founded. We're a community of men hopefully soon to be women as well, where we focus on being sexual. We focus on how beautiful that is and how that connects us into our being and all the different ways of being sexual. There's no rules around it. You can be promiscuous, you can be monogamous, you could be a misogynist, you could be somebody of whatever that urge is. And we also focus heavy on connecting with the people around you. I truly believe to be a human being in today's culture, we need to be able to share a moment with all the people that connect in our lives and make an impact. Show our true expression. And through that, we can find the true nature of what leading is, or sharing is, or unity is, and all these great things of masculinity and femininity and just being a freaking human being. So if that's something you'd like and you want a community of people that dedicates a portion of their life to that, well, that's what we do, and I hope to see you there and continue that discussion. All right. Have a good Friday, people. We will talk to you later.